Hello everyone and welcome back to Merchford USA. Through the miracle of saves and jumping back, we find ourselves at the time. Yeah, I want to ride along with this train. Yes, sorry about that. Yeah, we find ourselves at a time just before the live stream took place. And that's what's going to feature in this video is time-lapse footage from that live stream. I managed to get the footage in full. I have thankfully gone and edited out, of course, when we had the game crash. And just looking, that highlights an issue with track going from old to new. I'll fix that later, that's not important right now. Yep, very, well, I won't say very, I'll say quite successful live stream. Took place on Monday night. Went on for about 3 hours and will possibly be the last live stream for a little while, purely because, as I've mentioned in the past, I am going back to work. My first shift, as I'm recording this, is in a few days, on Sunday. This video hopefully will be released on Sunday, so when you watch this I will have got home from my first shift, probably be dog tired and looking urgently for coffee or bed or both. So yep, as I'm recording this, the previous video has been up for about 2 hours now, so I won't have seen any of your comments. If indeed you decide to comment on that video, I won't have seen them yet. However, after this video goes out, there will be a gap of a few days before I record again. So moving on, I will be able to follow any comments. So without further ado, let's jump over to the time-lapse. So here we are at the time-lapse portion of the video. As I say, this is from the part of the live stream, so I was just showing off the depot that you see in the previous video. This is it in real life on Google Maps. Let's quick look. And here explaining what else had gone on, and I think explaining actually some of the lost footage as well. But anyway, here as you see, we did have the farm down near Orton. Here we're just building in a food processing plant to complement that. The trains will run between the 2 yards and eventually will serve food both to the Meadhamstead area with Orton and Hampton as well, and likewise up here in Merchford and the other local areas of the city, shall we say, as I kind of think of it as one large city. Here we see the Autobahn mod. This does give some great road connections as well, which we'll see a bit later. So just placing that in, and then the other side of the Autobahn we have our passenger station. So sort of the Autobahn is going to split the passenger and cargo stations. I may do some scenery work sort of along the edge of the cargo station at a later date. Just signalling up, and what the Autobahn will do is come up and go over the passenger line, so it won't sort of end up stuck in kind of a no man's land down the middle there. Eventually I shall be extending that Autobahn right across the map. But again, that's for later time. Anyway, here we see some parking going in, and I did also place sort of the bus stop roads. Didn't go in perfectly with the car parking spaces, but overall I'm fairly happy with the alignment. Just extending the road there. I believe, yeah, that's where I'd have been explaining to the viewers about how the cargo will work between the two. So we extend the road in, couple that up to Orton. Although Meadhamstead is the main city over here, the station is named after Orton, with that being the closest area. Brief pause there. I think that would have been for reading the comments. So now we're getting to connecting the tracks up. Apologise if you can hear the music in the background. We'll just wait that out for a second. Yep, like that's gone now. Yeah, as I said before, the road, the autobahn comes up. Of course, we don't call them autobahns for UK or America. That's just the mod that's being used. And here, the tracks connect in. Only a double track, as the majority of USA is, even on all but the very busiest routes, is either double track or single track. For such a large country, their rail network really does leave a lot to be desired, certainly on the passenger side. I know there are plans to address that with faster trains, better track alignment, and so on and so forth. But of course, in a country the size of America, that's going to cost an awful lot of money. So here we see the bus routes going in this area. I did also go with the larger car park, as you can see, although we do have on-road car parking. I just felt that with a station this size, it would probably need that additional parking. So here we go with our buses for the first route. So I've named it Orton. It does actually hit all the 3 towns in the area. So we release those out on the way. Yeah. So this is sort of where we're putting in our first junction. I decide on one I like and then immediately change my mind. Unfortunately, how it places in the terrain isn't ideal. It does leave some jagged edges. However, it is a mod, of course, and I'm very grateful that we do have it. We can cover up the jaggies, of course, with trees. And come in and do that later. So just some rough smoothing. Here you see me laying the tracks out. Which, unfortunately, the final route although roughly does follow this path, isn't exact, and that is because I do suffer a game crash. Not system related or anything this time, it was just a common variety mod causing the incident. I'll go over that when we get to it. Here we see signals going in. Year end there. So we get lots of extra trains, many of which will appear at some point on this map. And there we go. The middle two tracks there only having signal in one direction, as that is the intention, is to have those two as through tracks, so trains wouldn't reverse in the two middle siding platforms, rather, not sidings. Rename Orton station there. Here we see me placing our commercial drop-off point. Possibly a bit large for in the centre at the moment. However, when the area builds up, I think it won't look quite so out of place. There's our trucks on that end. And here I play around with buffers. Unfortunately, they don't look great, and there you go. That was the cause of our first game crash. I thought I had edited this whole interruption out. Hopefully this won't take too long to get through. Let's wait it out. Unfortunately, there's not much else we can do. But yeah, the problem was, as you probably saw, the mod I installed, which is the Penn Central SD40s. Yeah, as you can see, I did lose our depot, the train tracks, which highlights why you should always be saving often, possibly every time you use a mod you haven't used before, just to be on the safe side. You see, that time I used a different end track piece, and here we relayed the line. As I say, it generally follows the same route again. Place this in once again. And now for our epic trains. See, I do a save there. It did crash again, and unfortunately that time you now see it jumps to the trains actually running. Unfortunately, what happened was I made the mistake. I put up my test card saying that I'd return. The game returned, I carried on and forgot to actually check. So we did miss a little bit of footage. Thankfully it wasn't too much, it's just really kind of where the trains start running. You see I'm using another of the junctions. I do have to put a slip road in there though, unfortunately, because the game doesn't see these junctions as actual roads. So unless you're using the mod that turns off road connections, you will have a problem. Here we see me putting the end of the road in. Of course, we'll go to the rest of the world. And here I start to plan the tracks which head down under the road. I have to move that road eventually just to get our tunnel in. See, connecting all the tracks up so they work. Here I'm using my 1 kilometer train just to space the signalling out. Which is why I went with the 1 kilometer train pretty much straight away, even though it's not needed. We will go and have a look at the end of this video at this train running at normal speed, just so you can get a better look at it. See, placing our signals in. I personally don't go through and change all of the signals on a piece of track to one way. As long as you've got the first one either side of a crossover, then the game generally knows what it's doing. A train can't get to the next one to go the wrong way. So it's not really necessary to change all of them as you go through. Although I can understand why some people do, in case the route's not finished and they are planning on having connections at a later time. Here you see me playing around, trying to get the train to go in to a certain platform. I had to play with sort of double slips to get it to work. But we do have our intercity route up, and our train running along that route. Here we go to just spacing out the last couple of signals now. I generally do it for 1 kilometer long, but of course you can't judge the length of the route accurately, so I prefer to have the longer section in the middle somewhere. Just so you're not waiting, because if you do it all at one end, then of course the first train out has to clear it before your next train can come along, which can take time, and no one wants to wait for that. So yeah, here's our passenger train. I think I touched on it in the previous video. It's based on the North Carolina Department of Transport Piedmont train, which runs roughly in that configuration, albeit with F59Ps and F59PHs, which I don't have in game yet. If we do have any sort of reskinners out there that would take on a project, I would love to have the General Electric P42 and the Amtrak Heritage coaches done in the correct colours. Likewise for, I hate to say it, but I think the SD40-2 would probably be the best one to use as a replacement for the F59. I know modders are very busy, so I'm not going to ask them to actually recreate the exact locos unless anyone wants to take that project on. Here you see we put in the tunnel in. I was hoping to have this track hidden underground as the portal to the rest of the world. Unfortunately, the game didn't want to play ball, so we just sort of bring it out there and throw in a bunch of trees. Eventually trains will sort of duck into there and it will simulate them going off to further afield. I'm planning to have more trains, of course, using this. It seems a bit extreme to have such a big station if you've only got 1 or 2 trains running. Here I'm starting to curve the line round for what will eventually become sort of the local network for those 3 towns, similar to what we have here. We have our RDCs running round. So just checking that the routes are working. Food is being delivered. Fortunately, quality does seem to have taken a dip now. So here we look at the next big project, which is the Juniata Locomotive shop, as you can see, located in Altoona, Pennsylvania. That will be going in here at Lindum. It will probably be a few episodes before I get started on that. And here, just using the ruler to demonstrate how big it is in real life. And as you may have seen there, the Amtrak Heritage Coach is becoming available, which will go on this train. Anyway, coming to the end of the time-lapse now. So we'll watch this train and I'll see you back in the live portion. Welcome back. Hit play. Try and ease us so we've got a good place to see the train rolling in. As I'd mentioned in the time-lapse, next big project will be that large locomotive workshop, which will feature Conrail locos, Norfolk Southern when we get to the appropriate date. I am a big fan of Norfolk Southern. I'll make no apologies for it. The coincidence of them coming into being the same year I was born in is just that, a coincidence, but it's a happy one at that. They do also have a connection with my favourite local line in America, which is the Alexander Railroad. I've become fascinated with the line over the last couple of years. So I will maybe look at trying to recreate some of that railroad in this map somewhere, but that will include making completely brand new cities out of nothing. So here we see the end of our train disappearing. Let's just grab a ride with it. Piedmont disappearing the other way there. As you can see, I do still need to do some smoothing of the terrain. I didn't get around to doing this yet. I think after recording this video I'll probably do it all off screen. Although it's nice to see some of the detail going in, hours of smoothing really isn't exciting, and I accept that. I would like to get some scenery going in along the line as well. Sort of some fields, farms. There is plans to have a couple of industries along the line as well, which will be functional. We do only have the 3 sort of urban areas of the map, and I don't want to sort of cluster all the industries in amongst that. It would be nice to have some out, as in fact the vanilla game does for us. Puts the industries out the way, but of course very rarely are they in convenient locations, so I will be choosing that myself. As you can see on this build up of the locos, in the end we do have plain black with the PRR logo. We have the same logo reversed, and we do have Pennsylvania GP9 on the back. I would have liked to use the Penn Central ones. There is a known issue with the texture file, so that's just something we have to accept. I have messaged the person who created them and asked if we could do a fix, and also I have requested the repaints that I mentioned in the live stream, so hopefully we'll get that. As I mentioned before though, by the time you watch this I shall have started work once again. See the train going the other way there. Got some mechanical reefers in there, a few flat cars. Also some stock cars, which actually came about from one of Slim Gaming's live streams. We had a viewer in there who was a modder, and this is going back to the Grand Canyon map, and Slim said, oh, it'd be great if we could have some wagons to put the cattle in, and lo and behold, a few days later the modder in question went and released them. So that was great work. And they are really great models as well. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. When I record the next one, as I say, the time-lapse footage, there are some things I can play around with to try and get quality closer to what we have in-game now. Not quite so blurred. But yeah, drop some comments down below. I always enjoy reading them and replying. If you've got any ideas or thoughts on what we can do, I'll be grateful to hear them. So anyway, that's going to be it for now. Bye!